Hey guys, what's up? So this is going to be a very quick build video. I was fortunate enough to get invited onto Otaku's Anonymous. It is an anime podcast. I've been watching these guys for a while and their other YouTube channels. They're all across social media, but it was an honor to be invited onto it after shooting my shot, and I want to make them something cool. Yes, of course, I'm not going to go there empty-handed. They invited me, and I want to bring them a gift. They are both massive Jujutsu Kaisen fans, and I've been looking for a reason to make this thing, the inverted spear of heaven, the thing that Toshi Fushiguro uses to, skewer Gojo. So that's what we're going to be making. Now, I want one for myself, and I'm going to make them one too. So let's get right into it and just jump into the build. Okay, so we're going to be speed running this, so let's get right into the computer files. Here's the file for Vec 3D. Did you guys know that the inverted spear of heaven is actually broken? Because I didn't. I guess I missed that one. See, look, there's the broken off chunk. So being the G he is, he actually modeled a full non-textured version. You can see that here, it's in perfect shape. And then he has a textured version with the broken piece. And then you can also get a full, he just gave you all the options. I'm still not quite sure which version I want to do. It'd be cool to have a blade. I don't know, I got to do two. We'll figure that out in a minute. But here you go, you get the files. He gives you all the renders as reference, and then you can go in there and get the files and drop whichever ones in you want. You have the smooth and textured blade, as well as all the handles, the wrapped and unwrapped. So here are all the parts. I've already gone and cut the blade in half because I think I'm just gonna resin print this whole thing to speed up sanding and post-processing. So I just did a plain cut down this edge. This way it'll fit on my resin printer and Chitu box. I could angle it. It's just gonna take a lot longer. So fusing it back together is gonna be trivial, mostly because he already put a hole for a metal rod, and resin fusing this together is easy. So I'll show you that later once it's printed. Since I like wrapping handles, I'm going to be using the smooth handle, and this I'm probably just going to plastic print. A few of these I might FDM print. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. We're gonna go and sort everything over the next few minutes, and it'll be. I'm gonna make up my mind, and now. Okay, I figured it out. I'm gonna print both styles. I'm gonna print the broken, damaged version for Otaku's Anonymous, and then I'm also gonna print the complete, clean version for myself, because I like having the little oddities. Obviously, I have the different Stormbreaker over there, so I think having the true, fully built inverted spear of heaven would be really cool to have on the wall. So I have everything laid out here in Chitu box. This is what I ended up going with. I have the blade cut. I have everything positioned. Am I using too many supports? Probably, but I'd rather this survive instead of having a bunch of failures. I also went and scaled up the parts a little bit. I scaled up the coupler that goes around the blade to 101%, and I scaled up the hilt that goes over that coupler to 102%, just to account for the little dimensional inaccuracies. Obviously, resin printing is super accurate, but sometimes fitment can be too close, so I'm actually just scaling them up indescribably small, just to help things fit better together, and you won't even notice it. So this is how I'm going to print it. I'll send everything on one shot on my frozen Megasonic 8KS, the new printer with the green hood, and hopefully everything comes out okay. And if something fails, I can just go and reslice that and print it again, but hopefully this all works out. As for the stuff I'm going to FDM print, I'm doing the little hilt, the bottom cover of the hilt. I'm doing these in plastic, and I laid them down for increased strength. The way this is going to print now is when I hook up an actual chain to it, it's going to be a lot stronger than A, resin, or B, if I was to print it standing up, because the layers are going to build up. Printing it like this with so many walls is just going to make that little link a lot stronger, and it's going to look a lot better, so I'm not too worried about that. As for the handles, I laid them down again for strength, and I've noticed that when I print stuff like this, it gives it a pretty cool top surface that almost looks like ray skin. Even though the whole handle is going to get wrapped, I'm going to do this in probably a red silk, and it's just going to be super strong. I don't have to worry about supports because these inner rods are perfect circles, and I can just drill them out anyway. So I'm just going to print them like this on my K1 Maxes and the resin printer, and this should be done. Actually, I should probably slice this. Let's see how long this is going to take. 22 hours. So by this time tomorrow, the blades will all be printed, and the parts on the K1 Max are going to go way quicker than that. They're going to be done in 5 hours and like an hour, 58 minutes. I'm good. So let's get this sliced into the garage, and we'll start printing some stuff. All right, so before we go outside, I actually want to talk about the printer I'm going to be using for this build. Frozen was kind enough to send me the new Megasonic 8KS. This is a stripped down version, a little bit of a cheaper version than the normal Frozen Sonic Mega 8K. You guys might remember that printer from my Blue Beetle build tutorial. That printer operated wonderfully. This is a more streamlined version. It's less metal, it's got a big green hood on it, and it's easier to just operate, and it's meant to just be a more entry-level large 3D printer. Now, I originally had more footage of me operating the printer. However, I didn't realize my SD card was full until editing the video just now. But this printer operated beautifully, and you can see me here removing the parts from the build plate. The blade all printed in 2 pieces, the handles and the hilts all came out great, and I'm just stripping them down so I can get them washed and cured and start actually painting. You'll actually see this printer making an upcoming appearance in this Chainsaw Man build video that should be premiering in 2 or 3 weeks, so definitely stay tuned for that. This thing came out sick. Just like the original Mega 8K, it worked right out of box. I didn't have to level it, I just plugged it in, opened it up, did everything I needed to do, sliced the files, and sent it. Now, Chidubox didn't have a specific profile for the 8KS, so I just used the profile for the 8K, and it worked fine. So I want to say a big thank you to Frozen for sending me this printer to do this project on. And if you guys are interested in the printer, I have links down below, and you're also about to see me talk about the wash and cure station they sent me. They're massive. So let's get into the garage. It's a little bit of a time travel, and yeah, now we're there. Go. Okay, one other thing. They also sent me the Mega Cure S and the Mega Wash S, and these are massive wash and cure stations. The curing station can fit full helmets easily. I mean, it's like a microwave. You can fit multiple parts in here. It has a little rack you can put in there too. I just have it underneath here. So I'm curing the parts right now. So it's just super easy to use, and I'm glad they sent this to me so I can start doing bigger parts. And then there's this massive wash station down here. I haven't needed to actually use it yet because I still have my little wash station right here, but when I do start doing bigger, longer parts, this is gonna come in handy. Tons of little rack options in here. Very, very, very easy to use. I just gotta find a good place to set it up. So they have the whole bundle now for just like big resin 3D prints, which is great. I am so excited to put this sword together. It came out so cool. I did break apart because I was lazy and I just put these on the build plate. That's the only thing I don't like about these printers. You can see these like bubbly, the build plate has holes in it because it's so big. So if you lay something on the build plate like I did, it will leave little zits all over the part, but I did it on all the flat surfaces. This way I can just take a flat piece of sandpaper, put it on my bench, and just grade it down, and it works perfectly. Sanding resin is super easy, just wear a respirator. But I got a little overzealous with my scraper and I broke chunks off of it. However, I do still have the chunks, so I can just resin fuse them back into place and you'll never even know. Or I'll use this one for the broken version, even though technically it's not damaged. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hey guys, voiceover Frank here because just who I am as a person. Anyway, I'm doing exactly what I said. I took a flat piece of sandpaper, put it on my workbench, and I was just going in circles until the little zit spots of the resin were completely smoothed down. You might not even have to do this depending on how you printed it. Now it's time to resin fuse the blade together, and this is super easy to do. I do a mixture of super glue for the parts I can't get resin into. I always advise sanding the mating surfaces to scuff it up a little bit. This way it gives it better adhesion. So just a little bit of glue to hold the insides together, and then we're gonna go and resin fuse the seams and sand them down, and if you do this right, it will be flawless. Okay, now for resin fusing and smoothing. I'm taking a little toothpick and I'm literally dropping bits of uncured resin into the crack where the parts are mated, and I'm then curing it with a UV light. Please wear a respirator and gloves. I was in a rush. I was not being safe here. Again, please do as I say, not as I do. Wear a respirator, wear a mask, and do not look directly into the UV light. But this is a great method for fixing and curing resin prints together, because then once the resin is dried, you can then sit there and sand it back down smooth. And if you take your time with this with like 100 grit and 200 grit sandpaper, it will be flawless and you won't even know they are two separate parts. The only way you'll be able to tell is the resin color might be a little different. You can see here now that they are fused together, and all I have to do is sand them down. Now that everything has been sanded down, a little bit of prep, it's time to start dry fitting everything, making sure everything fits together. Sanding down the internal parts or the tight spots for fitment is going to be crucial to this. Scaling everything up did help, but as I build it up with paint, I'm going to have to go back and sand certain tolerances and clearances down, but everything fits together beautifully. The blade is nice and smooth. I'm just doing those little dry test fittings, and everything came out great. Now for the parts that needed to be filled, I was hitting them with a duplicolor filler primer, mostly the little plastic parts, especially the end caps, because I fused them together with my soldering iron. This way they were nice and strong. They're the only parts that are FDM printed on this. Everything else got a layer of duplicolor sandable primer. That's this red primer here, and it goes on beautifully on resin prints. It doesn't fill too well, but it is a nice smooth mating surface, and it wet sands beautifully. I soaked the blades in this. Even though they were already smooth, they were coming out even smoother. Let gravity do the work in this case. Lay your parts flat and let the liquid paint kind of build up and level itself out. It helps immensely, especially when using metallics and super glossy paints. And once the blades were dry, I started hitting them with a Rust-Oleum metallic chrome. This is not silver, this is a chrome, and you have to be careful when spraying it. I like to do a light dust coat at first, and once that dust coat is almost dry, I will go and soak the blades in this chrome. You need it to, I think it's called something like tinning, but it makes or sheening, and it makes everything just dry together. You can't really build it up in layers. You need to go on with one heavy wet coat. Okay, some progress was made. It was the New Year's, so I didn't film every little bit. I got some footage on my phone, so as I talk about what I did, I'm gonna overlay that. Everything's done being painted. So the two gold parts, and these came out beautiful. This is the bottom of the handle and the top, and this is a little, it'll make sense. This is the Montana Gold. I've used this on the Dr. Fate helmet. I've used this on a couple things. It is a very delicate gold. It is soft. It takes fingerprints really easily, and it is very easily scratched, but it looks beautiful. So it's a pro-con. I was planning on using this gold the entire time. Now, as for the blade, and I wish I had done this differently before, since I'm doing two blades, I should have done one as a graphite rub. I think that would have looked really cool, but instead I used the Rust-Oleum metallic chrome, and this stuff lays on beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's metal. It isn't quite as soft as the Montana Gold. You can touch it once it's dry, and it's a little bit harder to scuff. But since it's a metal blade, and you're gonna see on the damaged version, it actually adds to it. I think the scuffs and the tarnishing that gets put onto this when you touch it, it's so much better. You don't need a gloss black base coat for this. It covers everything. I'm so sorry, I have printers going there. I hope you can still hear me. But yeah, you just douse this, and then you flip it over and douse it again, and it came out great. Now in some images, the hilt and the blade are almost the same color, but I didn't want that. So I decided to go off of this reference image. The hilt is a little darker. This is a magnetic gunmetal from Duplicolor Perfect Match, and I just like the contrast of these two colors. This way, it's still metal, it's still shiny, but it's not the chrome of the blade. Do whatever you want in that situation, however you want to match it. Now, because I went and covered these with paint, they don't fit as nicely anymore, so you need to take that into consideration when joining the parts together. It might be hard to see, but I've gone and taken sandpaper to the inside of the hilt. This way, the parts can fit together properly and not scratch each other. I made that mistake on the damaged one that's sitting here, and I can just touch that up with some paint, but I wanted to test out the damaged version first to see the tolerances, because if the paint gets scratched, I don't really care. So now this one fits together beautifully. It still is a little bit of a tight fit, but I'm happy with that. I also went and sanded the inside. I also went and sanded the inside or the bottom part of the blade. This way now I can just drop the blade in there and it fits perfectly, and then we'll glue it in. So we're gonna go through and assemble the clean version, and all I'm waiting on for the final bits is all I'm waiting for on the final bits is the wrap for the handle. I just ordered it. It'll be here tomorrow, and then the video will pretty much be done, and I just need to figure out a good way to transport it over to California. But let me show you. Let me build this. We're gonna build this and then compare the two. How about that? So here I had to be a little bit careful with how I was assembling it. I was putting a little bit of glue on the inner part of the hilt. This way the gold part could slide through it and fuse together. I didn't want this coming apart at any time in place. So just don't use too much glue. This way it doesn't leak out. From there, I dropped glue on the inside and then just shoved the handle down inside of it. I did have to be careful putting on the bottom cap. It did damage the paint just a little bit, but oh well, the chain's gonna be there anyway, hiding it. And then thanks to all the tolerances and a little sanding I did, the blade slid in perfectly, and I was very happy with the clean version. Okay, this is the clean, unbroken version. I'm not gluing the blade in just yet because I want to have more freedom when I'm wrapping this, so I'm not hitting the blade on everything. So when I wrap and glue this, then I'll glue it back together. I still haven't decided if I'm gonna put the metal rods in it, because honestly, This is stable enough. It kind of doesn't need them, and it's just, you know what I might do? The damaged version, I might leave the blade out when I transport it and then do the final assembly when I give it to them. That'd probably be better. I'll transport it like this, so I'm less worried about it, and then I can just slot it in, glue it. And I need to find a stand for it. I need to either print or model a cool stand for this blade. So this is the clean version. We'll put this here. Please don't fall over. You're gonna, it's fine. And this is the damaged version. This is the version I'm gonna be gifting to them. I went and did a suka wrap, a handle wrap with some dark fabric already, just to see how it looked. I like it. So you can see right there, that's where the paint kind of scratched off when I slid the part in. I'm not gonna take it out because the paint like cured together. So I'm just gonna touch it up with like a paintbrush. That's easy. I do need to go, ooh. That's pretty in there. Huh. I might have to wrap it like this, but these came out so great. The last thing I just need to do is wrap them. I'm gonna weather this one up a little bit, so that'll be in the final closing bits of the video. So I guess now it's just a waiting game, and the next thing you're gonna see is me wrapping the handles. So I did the handle wrap during a Discord call, but I was able to record it with my top-down camera. This is some Suka wrap off of Amazon. You get it in a bunch of different colors. It's great. You've seen it in like my Demon Slayer tutorials. Since this is a very standard wrap, I just started gluing the wrap on and rotating it, trying to keep the lines as straight as possible. I'm not the best at these type of wraps, so the start and finish aren't the best. If I was doing knots or twists or diamonds, it's a little bit easier, and there's no bottom knot either. I do want to refine this in a future build, but I'm really happy with how it came out. Next up was gluing in the last parts of the blade on the clean version, and this, I just love how this came out. It came out clean, it is a perfect size, the blade looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to have this on display. Next up was the chain, and no, I did not print the chain. You can get these at Home Depot and Lowe's for super cheap. I found one I liked. I found a little clip ring in the key section that was gold, and I just linked everything together. And yes, I can actually hold the entire thing with the chain. I just don't know if I can swing it yet. All right, you guys ready? Here is the finished inverted Spear of Heaven, and like I said, it hangs just fine. I don't know if I can swing it, but it came out so sick. I love this. You can see right there, the finish on this one, the wrap isn't the best, so I'll just display it from this side. It is nice and sturdy, even without the metal rods. I'm not too worried about this, and it really makes me want to do a Toji cosplay. So maybe, if I could find a wig, oh, this would be so cool. Whoops. And here is the damaged version. I did a very light weathering pass on it, on the little cracks in the blade. Honestly, I used a Gundam paint marker just to kind of etch in some of the lines and then wipe it away. And I love the tarnishing difference between the blades. They both came out great. Obviously, the damaged one is a little darker. I had some of the resin crack right around the bottom of the hilt, or this little guard, and I just glued it back together. Honestly, if something happened that was strong enough to break the blade off, this little fancy ornate guard would probably have some cracks in it too from it flexing. So I am so excited to gift this to them. I'm gonna disassemble it. I'm gonna package it up because I fly out tomorrow to California, and I'm just super excited. If you guys want to see the reaction, because I'm not gonna have time to put the reaction in this video because I need to upload this Saturday, and I found out that they're probably not premiering the episode I'm on for a few weeks because they're going on like a vacation. But I will link the episode down below when it premieres, and I'll also just link their podcast and stuff because it's an awesome watch, especially if you're a Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man or any anime fan. Go check them out, and I'm really hoping it's a good time. Oh yeah, the last thing is I printed a little katana stand off of Thingiverse. I'll link it down below. I modified it with a soldering iron just so it fit better, but this way they can display it on something or hang it on the wall. If you guys like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I have so many more anime props in work, stuff from Bleach, stuff from Chainsaw Man, and a lot more Demon Slayer stuff, Jujutsu Kaisen stuff in work. So if you want to see any of that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and enable all notifications so you stay up to date. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns about anything you saw in the video, please leave a comment down below. You guys know I read all of them and I'll respond to as many as I can. A big thank you to Frozen again for providing me with the printer and all the awesome equipment. If you're interested in that printer, the link is down below like always. Please go check out the podcast. I am so excited to be a part of this. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and you have a good day. Ha ha! Bring me your Gojos.